Welcome back to Grounded. I'm Alejandra Sleeman.
And I'm Dannah Gresh. Well, happy Monday, friend. And Alejandra, you got your coffee?
I got my tea. Remember, I'm in British Columbia.
Oh, yeah, you're a tea girl. Well, you know what? I don't think people are going to need caffeine this morning with that beautiful, bright, spring colored yellow blouse you have on. You're going to wake us all up with just
rise
that.
Rise up and shine.
Now, I got to ask, what do you pair a blouse that beautiful with? What are you wearing on the bottom, Alejandra?
It depends where you're going. If you are,
I mean, today, right now.
If you are in a Zoom room like me, you might wear your pajamas. That's what I'm wearing.
Somehow I knew that. I just had a feeling. We won't make you show them, but I'm just getting a lot of joy.
Thank you, girlfriend.
You're
Appreciate
welcome. Well, as we start another week, coffee in hand. This morning I was on social media already, Alejandra, and there are plenty of Monday morning mantras dripping in through social media. Can I read a few to you?
Please do. Go ahead.
Okay, here they are. Are you ready? These are actual things that Aaron Davison and I found on social media. Rise and grind. I don't know what that means, but I don't think it sounds good. Chase those dreams. How about this one? You're allowed to want more for your life. I'm offended a little bit. Like, is my life not okay?
Yeah.
And there's this one, take charge of your life. Here's a promise that I could maximize my productivity in 7 easy steps.
Interesting.
A very original appeal to build your brand. Oh my, I'm so over the branding thing, but it's a reality of life. And then this one, coffee, hustle, repeat. Honestly, I can hardly get myself to read those.
I hear
you. But here's the deal, Alejandra. I've seen something else on social media and it excites me. It's this: women aren't buying it anymore. They're not buying it.
I agree. And this hurry up mentality and this have it all mentality, I think it might be reaching its limits for some of us. I mean, all these difficult events that we've had in this pandemic have really been, I believe, an invitation to consider asking ourselves the question, what really matters? I mean, some women found that they like being home more with their kids. Others have lost their jobs. I talked to my neighbor. She just lost her job, so she has to be home with her 2 children. Some see this as an opportunity. Some have lost significant income. And others are just questioning what their purpose is and what impact they are really making in this life.
Yep.
Get a hold of this. Like, out of every 4 women, 1 is actually currently considering their careers or leaving their careers or leaving the workplace altogether.
Wow. 1 in 4. That's a whopping 25% of us who, we're tired of the rat race and we're tired of these hyped up mantras. We want off the spinning wheel and we want the pressure to stop. Listen, friend, if you feel that, we've got a different kind of Monday morning message for you. And it won't mean you won't have to labor, but on this Monday morning, consider this your invitation to slow down. Wow. Today's topic, how to find true fulfillment with your life's work.
On a Monday morning to slow down, I got my thing here to take notes of that because I need that for this week. Because you know how scripture tells us how we need to work hard and working hard for the Lord. I want to work hard for the Lord, but it can be such a struggle. I mean, where is the line to work hard and not to default on striving on a lifestyle that is just a little bit too much? And you could do that working outside of your home. You could do that working in your home. You could do that in so many ways. It's so easy to strive and fill our lives with things. And the world is just knocking at our door saying more, better, and now. That's crazy.
Yeah, I feel it. In fact, I don't think it's slowed down this year. The pandemic has, oddly enough, made many of us work harder. I'm the founder of True Girl, a ministry that helps moms and daughters grow closer to each other and closer to Jesus. And in many ways, we kind of operate like a business. And it's been a year where, as we were previously a touring ministry, I had to put on my entrepreneur hat, which thankfully I'm married to a man who never takes his off. But I had to reimagine this ministry. What does it look like when we can't tour? I wanted to keep my team employed. I wanted to pay the bills. I wanted to fulfill God's call in my life to get girls into God's word. It hasn't been easy. Alejandro, there have been long days. Some of the hardest days of ministry happened this year, but in all of that, I didn't feel striving. I felt sure that I was rooted in Christ, because when you find your work through Christ, not through these hollow promises and mantras, the yoke is easy. The burden is light. Somehow, even on those hard days, you find that easiness or that fulfillment. And today we want to talk about how do we as Christian women find that place of working hard for the Lord and settling into a true purpose where the burden does become ironically light.
And you might think, why are we talking about this? Well, right in the United States, Dannah, there's about 12.3 million women that own businesses. I mean,
Wow.
let that sink for a minute. 12.3 million. That represents a lot of women entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And I wonder, how many of them started their business so they could be in control of their time or of their schedule. Maybe they wanted to stay at home with their kids, or maybe they just wanted to own their own business. I mean, or just simply, my question is, how can we honor Christ as we work?
Yep. If you're asking that, you're in the right place and you're asking the right questions. We've got two great guests lined up today. Both women own successful small businesses. And the first is a really dear friend of mine. I would say one of the women I respect most for her excellence in business and how she juggles it without sacrificing her family and love for the Lord. Ann Yorks is the owner of The Flour Box. That's FLOUR, as in for baking. And she's usually making cookies so beautiful, I can hardly get myself to eat them. They're art, really. They are pieces of art. And this morning, she's going to be baking up some wisdom about how she left the corporate world to live her dream of being a stay-at-home entrepreneur.
That's right. I love her recipes. My daughter and I follow her too. And they're not just looking good cookies, they're delicious cookies too.
Yes.
But we're also a little bit more done up today on Grounded because Shylah Brossier is also with us, and she's a stylist. So Dannah, did you wear your best? Because, she might be looking at us.
I did. I felt a little extra self-conscious about how I looked this morning.
Good
that was
girl.
one reason.
She's a stylist and also a boutique owner, and she happens to be one of the best friends of our fabulous co-host, Erin Davis.
Well, that makes me wonder, did Shylah help Erin with her clothes today? Because I noticed she's looking especially good. Let's get the scoop right now. Erin, did Shylah help you?
Well, good morning, Grounded friends. Shylah did just text me and say, you look great. And that's the kind of friend that Shylah is. I'm happy to say I picked out my own outfit today. Although if we asked her, Shylah would tell you that from many an occasion, I have texted her from the bathroom with a shot of my outfit and said, is this okay? Should I wear this? Because my personal style is bag lady chic, is what I like to call it. So I'm super excited for you to meet her because she is stylish, but she's also wonderful. And I want you to hear her heart. I think she's going to have a fashion tip for all of us, maybe, because who doesn't love those?
Well, we usually have a little good news nugget for you right here, but we're going to pause and we're going to save that for later. We love to share photos and stories that make you smile. So how about some amazing photos of cookies instead? But wait,
if I can't have a cookie, I like a photo of a cookie. That's I know.
No calories, right?
That's right. Cookies are the breakfast of second place finishers, I think. Go ahead. What were you going to say,
Erin,
Portia?
I was going to say, before we jump in, so I saw a comment that I've just got to shout her out.
Yeah,
Janet Bono. We met Janet this weekend. Yes, at a conference. And so I was like, we can't go any further without shouting her out. So, hey, Janet.
We told her we would. I'm glad that she's here. I'm glad you're here, Janet. And I'm glad you took the time to say hello, Portia. Well, I am delighted to welcome our first guest this morning. She wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but she also desired to pursue a dream she had that I think many of us have of owning her own business. So she started baking and decorating cookies from home. We've got some photos of those gorgeous cookies. She loved playing a supporting role in weddings and baby showers and those other milestone events that families all seem to have and that cookies always seem to show up at, but began getting big orders from around the country, bless you, when she began sharing her cookie art on social media. And check this out. People like to look at pictures of cookies, apparently, because she has nearly 2 million followers on social media. And she spends those 2 million followers, she looks at those 2 million followers and she teaches them how to cookie with confidence, which I love. I like to cook with confidence and cookie with confidence and eat with confidence, frankly. So find out how she took the step of faith to work from home. You're going to want a glass of milk, Andy, because she's going to make us all crave sweet treats, I think. Welcome to Grounded and Yorks. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. All right. Tell us about the flower box, Ann.
So it is all about the cookies, of course. And
so I like it.
We are an online retailer, and we're an online cookie school too. So we teach people how to decorate just beautiful sugar cookies. And I've been doing this for about 10 years officially, 13 if you count those few unofficial years in the beginning.
I think those count.
Good.
All right. So, Ann, let's drill down into the fact that you wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I love that. I recently just transitioned from being out like full-time outside of the home working to inside of the home working. And so I think we share similar hearts. And as we emerge from a pandemic, many women are realizing that they are enjoying staying at home during this time of lockdown, and they want to figure out ways how to work from home. And so also so that they can be closer to their kids. I know that was a huge motivator for me. I have a 3-year-old. So what was the hardest thing about transitioning from work outside of the home to working at home?
I think anytime you're starting something new, there's a challenge in that. And I almost think just that getting started part, jumping in, having the confidence, and just knowing that there's a place for you in whatever you want to do is true. And so you don't have to be afraid that you can't get started. I think sometimes we compare ourselves to others or compare where we are in our life to somebody that has been doing something for 10 years and think there's not a place for me there. I think if it's God's will for your life, that he will make a way. And so things do start small, and that's okay. My business started so small, and we still are so small, and I love it. So yeah, I think just not being afraid to jump in and get started is probably the best advice I could give anybody that's looking to do something new or different.
Oh, I love that. Y'all know I say I love that all the time. That's because I love everything, but this is like some good stuff. But this resonates with me because I know that I was scared when I made the decision to say, okay, I worked in nonprofit organizational management for 10 years, most recently as an executive director. And so I was like, am I really gonna say, I'm not gonna do this anymore? I was like terrified. And so I want to know, what role did God play in helping you to overcome your fear?
We have had, as a small business, so many decisions to make along the way. And when you have a young family, when we first started, just making decisions that seemed almost like a risk because you don't want to put yourself out there too much when you have a young family, you really do need to trust in God. And so when we first started, we had a good friend that suggested we convert our garage into a bakery. And that just seemed ridiculous to us to change our house like that and to, really commit to this life of cookie decorating. And so we spent months just praying. And finally, I think God allowed us to let go of that fear of committing to this path in my life and going for it. And then this little bakery, we've met literally hundreds of people that have come to take classes with us. People from all over the United States. We had a woman come from Brazil once for a 3-hour class. We've met so many incredible people. I think we've encouraged so many people. And I say we because my family and our staff are 100% behind this. And so just really seeking God's will in my life. There have been times where God's closed the door, where I really wanted something or thought I wanted an opportunity and that didn't happen. And then with some perspective, I could see that God had something better in store for me. And so it's okay to trust when things go well or when things feel like a challenge.
I love that. And I'm going to read you a comment that we just got. It's going to edify you so much. I don't know who it is. She says, guys, I'm in awe. God just recently began planting the seeds of a desire in me to be a stay-at-home mom and to bake and learn food photography. Not even kidding, she says. And so I want to talk about, I'm going to use the word balance and then I'm going to qualify it. This idea of balancing business and family. I would consider myself a small business owner. I teach, I write, and my husband is definitely a small business owner. He has employees. And both of those would take 26 of every 24-hour day that we would, if we could give it to them. So and we have children and other responsibilities. I don't think balance is necessarily possible and that it can all fit equally. But as you set out to be a cookie maker so you could work from home, how do you now manage, maybe is a better word, or I like the word abide, but how do you juggle your family, the business, which would take everything from you if you could give it to you? What are some rhythms or habits that you've had to put in place?
I definitely think that I serve a God of order. I don't think he wants my life, not my business life or my family life, to be in chaos. And so when I'm not sure what the balance is or what my next steps are, I actually ask God, just please help me to prioritize where I need to be today. And I'll be real specific. As far as the rhythms in my life, we have a rhythm to the cookie world because it's very determined by the holiday seasons. And so things that are normally family times are also our busiest business times. And so sometimes it's easy to think that I need to work harder, put more hours in, sacrifice my time in the mornings and work in the mornings before I have my quiet time with the Lord. And I'm slowly learning, I'm a slow learner, that is just not true, that God has given me the amount of time in my workday to get the task done that he has set for me. He's put people in my life to move the business forward, and that it's not all up to me. So working harder hasn't really been the solution for me, but what has been really the thing that has kept joy both in my business and in my family is first giving my first fruits of my day to God, spending that quiet time with him before my children wake up. I'm a morning person, so that's a little bit easy for me, and that's when I choose to do that. Eliminating distractions during the workday and really focusing on what I want to get done. I use social media very little. And I really stay focused on my tasks. And then knowing that at 3:00, that's when it's time to go get my kids, get in the parent pickup line, and plug the phone in and be done. God's taught me that I'm not a good decision maker in the evenings. So I don't do work at night because that's not when I make good decisions. I actually am more effective when I do it in the morning. So he's just showing me how to work better, and it's been great because there have been hard times running a small business, and there have been times where I've wanted to quit or give up and just say it's not worth it. But this business has blessed not just our family, but so many other people. I really don't think God wants me to quit.
Yeah, I love that. I'm learning those same lessons, and I also am a slow learner. And I become a dry branch very, very quickly when I don't listen to those rhythms. That's where I feel the hustle pressure the most. I don't really feel pressure to make a name for Aaron Davis, but to get up and hustle my day so that I can get it all done. I feel that pressure every day, and just can't do it without abiding in Christ and seeking him. So appreciate that reminder. Now, you may not personally use social media much, but you have a presence in social media. And let's be honest, social media is the wild, wild west, is it not? It's not necessarily all a bunch of Christians who believe like we believe. So I am curious about how you use your business to share the love of Jesus, particularly on places like Facebook, Instagram.
I think being a cookie decorator makes it pretty easy because what I do is so joyful. It is so full of hope, and it is such an amazing way to encourage people. And so I try to show that through everything that I do. I am just appreciating the people in my life that I've met or just people that I've connected with. And so I shouldn't say that social media is bad, but I like it in very limited doses. Sure. And so, but if there's a way that I can encourage somebody at any given point, I'm going to take that opportunity to do so. And it's amazing how many people resonate with that and reach out to you, share their story, ask for prayer. I've had that happen, and I'm just, it's an honor, to be honest. So, I feel like this little country bumpkin in the middle of nowhere, and then, you connect with people from all over the world. It's a pretty cool opportunity to just share some encouragement. Sometimes you don't know who's contacting you, but they'll share a difficult story. And I'll just say, I'm a praying sort of person, so I'm going to keep this situation, you and your family, in my prayers. And people always respond back, thank you. Nobody's ever said, please don't do that.
Yeah, that's been my experience. I've never asked somebody if I could pray for them and had them tell me no, never, yeah, regardless of their belief. So in the words of my friend Portia, I love that.
You got it, girl. I was about to say it, but now I don't have to.
I know
say
you
it,
were.
Eric.
I beat you to the punch.
You got it. And thank you so much for being with us today. You are a joy, and you are my new best friend. And I'm going to go follow the Flower Box. And don't be surprised when you get an order for dozens of cookies from me. Okay, that I'm not sharing with anybody in my household. Take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a great morning.
All right. Well, today we have a little gift for you. We have a link to a recent tutorial from the Flower Box in the comments. So I want y'all to check it out. With spring being in the air, you might just want to bake and decorate these cute birdhouses and spring flower pots.
Portia, you ever watch that show, Nailed It? I feel like we should have a grounded Nailed It and see how good our birdhouse cookies turn out. Because
look, like our muffin bake off. Remember when we made Dannah's?
I remember that. It tasted good, but mine looked terrible. I'm not sure I could accomplish those cookies, but they look beautiful.
Oh man, you cracked me up, girl. Also, guys, we wanted to let you know that Anne just wrote her first book. It's entitled The Crafted Cookie, The Beginner's Guide to Baking and Decorating Cookies, and it releases May 18th. So listen, Erin, there you have it. We can get like the step-by-step.
Okay, I'm going to read the book, then we're going to have a grounded cookie off,
yes,
and then we'll see how it goes. Anne can come back and be our guest judge.
Yes.
And she's going to look at mine and go, nailed it.
Nailed it.
Yeah, nailed it could have many meanings. I think
it's like interpretation. It's like bless her heart. That's what it means.
All right, Dannah, let's get grounded in God's word. Dannah, I'm just gonna be honest. I want to call you what I always call you, Dannah Banana.
Yeah, my dad calls me that. I welcome it.
So tell us where we're going in our Bibles this morning. I am ready to hear God's word.
Yeah, Matthew 13. So open your Bible to Matthew 13 if you have them nearby. I want to just posit a little challenge that God's been stirring in my heart for about 3 weeks since one of our elders in our church spoke from 1 Corinthians on an ethic of work. And he posited the thought that we often believe the lie that what we do does not matter. And this is especially true when we're doing something that seems pretty normal, mundane. And even then, it matters. The things we do here matter eternally. Our work matters, even baking cookies, whether it's to sell them or to celebrate. Balancing the budget of your business or your household, mopping the floor of your school or your family bathroom. Little things can make big kingdom difference. Now, let me read Matthew 13:33 to you. Jesus is telling parables, and there's this really little tiny one in Matthew 13:33 that hardly ever gets any attention. It reads, he told them still another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman took and mixed into a large amount of flour until it worked all through the dough. Okay. In the ESV, it says the kingdom of heaven is like leaven that a woman took and hid in 3 measures of flour till it was all leavened. It's a snapshot of an ordinary day. A woman working in the kitchen. And that leaven she put into the flour would spread and grow. And some commentaries say it would feed 100 people. And Jesus said that is like the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven was like that leaven or that yeast that a woman put into flour. Now, side note here, for any good Bible students out there, especially if you've ever done Aaron Davis's 7 Feast Bible study, usually the leaven in the bread represents evil or sin. That we find that in the Old Testament and New Testament. But in this parable, which follows the parable of the mustard seed, also a small thing that yielded a mighty growth, the leaven and the seed are meant to represent small, ordinary acts that have big impact for a world in need of Christ's love. God's kingdom is like that. Ordinary people doing ordinary things to spread the powerful, all-consuming love of Jesus Christ. And this morning, as I meditated on that, I was reminded of in 7th and 8th grade, my last 2 years in public school, I had an art teacher named Faith. Now, she secretly told me her first name when I went to after-school pottery class, and I don't remember her last name, but what I do remember is that she lived up to her first name because she loved Jesus and she loved me. So I wanted to be like her. Now, we had no big theological conversations and she never opened her Bible, but when that middle school art teacher pulled out a slab of clay, well, she served it up to me with great commission purpose. And it became a small piece of my Great Commission calling. Listen, the kingdom was never intended to stay inside buildings that we mistakenly call the church. Like that little piece of leaven in that woman's bread, what we put into this earth in each moment, even the mundane ones, has potential to spread God's kingdom. We are the church charged with the Great Commission purpose in every single act. We need to spread the love of God through this entire planet, one little piece of love at a time. Like when Ann Yorks answers one of those emails and says, I'm a praying woman. Do you think that spreading the Great Commission, the gospel, that it primarily happens to the people we call full-time ministry workers? Sometimes that's where the lie sneaks in that our work doesn't matter, but it will never spread through just full-time workers. There aren't enough pastors and missionaries to get into the schools, into the banks, into the warehouses, and into the power meetings in the way that you can. Spreading the gospel happens through what I call frontline ministry workers, the middle school art teacher, the mom who wins carpool queen, hands down, the pharmacist who holds it all together during a pandemic, or the grandmother who holds everyone together with family gatherings. Those things, they're like the leaven in that parable. Each small act inside of those jobs, it has great kingdom purpose. Now, listen, I love that we commission missionaries and pastors and don't stop doing it anytime soon. But recently, I've been longing for the day when we bring nurses and contractors and Etsy store owners and hobby farmers to the front of our congregations to commission them too. I long for putting their names on my refrigerator to pray for them. Why? Because that's the front line of the Great Commission work. Whatever work you put your hand to today, your work matters here on this broken earth as we participate in God's great redemption plan.
Dannah, Listen, you already know what I'm about to say, and everybody who is watching knows what I'm about to say. I love that. I love that. Such a great encouragement. And one thing that I try to remind myself of daily is that there's no need to segment my work. There's a temptation to place work outside of the home or work that you get paid for in the more important category. But whether you're working inside the home or outside the home, whether you're potty training your kids like I just went through, or you're recording Grounded, all work has heavenly purpose. So repeat after me, everybody. Work is worship.
Work is worship.
Work is worship. Yes. All right. So check out, you guys, I want you to check out this introduction to the latest season of the Women of the Bible podcast. And I'm sure you'll recognize a familiar face with that reminder.
We're all called to different kinds of work. Maybe yours is creating spreadsheets or writing different kinds of reports. Maybe you teach college students or kindergartners. Or maybe, like Ruth, your work is gleaning grain. No matter what kind of job you have, your work can be an act of worship. This is the Women of the Bible podcast, and I'm your host, Erin Davis. Right now, right this very moment, I'm talking to you, in part because it's my job, but more importantly because it's one way I can use my life to bring glory to God. What you can't see are the camera operators and audio techs who are worshiping too through their work. We've been walking through the study Ruth, experiencing a life restored. In this episode, we'll see that Ruth worked hard and her faithfulness, even in the mundane tasks like harvesting grain, caused others to take notice. Maybe you're listening to this episode as you wash the dishes or fold the laundry or finish that report. As you do, let Ruth's story remind you that it's more than work, it's worship.
Well, our next guest is a mother to 5 children. And the work that she does on this planet really matters. She sells beautiful clothes, and she's also the model for those clothes. She posts videos and pictures on Facebook, and she uses this forum to share Jesus. And I wonder how she keeps from getting caught up in others' approval. Welcome, everyone. Meet, please, Shylah Brossier.
Hello, Shylah.
Hi.
Hey, style us up this morning. Give us one simple tip we can use when we want to walk out of the house and feel so good about how we look.
I mean, confidence is everything. And I think the biggest mistake that women make is getting caught up in current trends rather than what dressing for their body type. So always remember, even if it looks good on, the 16-year-old model, dressing for your body type is of the utmost importance.
There's some freedom in that. Yeah, there's some freedom in that. I can say no to the, teen jeans. All right. I got to say that even as I asked that question on Grounded, because, Revive Our Hearts is a Bible ministry. We love to be in God's word. I feel a little self-conscious, like I'm being super worldly when I ask you that question.
Well, wait, Dannah, let's be honest, because we know that Grounded hosts, and I believe all the women that are booming in this chat on our phones are trying to look our best too.
Yeah.
So help us out, Shylah. I mean, can you give us some biblical thoughts of why could it be okay or even important to present ourselves well?
Well, I think it's just like anything else. When you feel better, you exude that, right? We exude more joy. We're going to be more confident in talking to others. And I think that goes back to what we were talking about, it being the hands and feet of Jesus. And when we feel good about how we look and how we're presenting ourselves, we're more likely to talk to a stranger or say hello to someone or step in and give a kind word, I think, rather than just like trying to hide
Yeah. Okay. You had to say that because it made me think of something I am trying to hide. And all the grounded hosts know this, that over the weekend I was texting them because I have something the size of a planet growing above my lip right now. I think you were supposed to like grow out of this when you were a teenager, but I don't know. Like, somebody please tell me you cannot see the orb above my lip. Please tell me that. But listen, we do. Like, I've noticed this weekend, I'm like self-conscious and I'm withdrawn. And yet when I put on a little makeup for this morning and did my hair, I was like, okay, I can do grounded. So touche. I believe what you're saying is true. Also, I'm intrigued by your social media posts because I checked you out. All right. I've been like, stalking you on social media. Very fascinating. You actually put yourself out there like big time, even though you're selling LuLaRoe, you're doing it in a way that you are the brand. You, Shylah, are the brand. That's pretty much a given for most business women these days. As social media takes over the brick and mortar stores, our personal pages, ministry, small business, they become the presence for our business and they require a face to welcome them. And that's not a person you're employing at the cash register or in the store. You are the face. You are the brand. So how do you keep the business brand, big question, from becoming your identity?
I was reflecting on this a lot this morning. I think the past year, this whole pandemic year, whatever you want to call it, or however it affected you, it really allowed me to slow down. And I think honestly, take a look into the fact that I was allowing my business, how other people saw me, to become too big of a part of my identity. And the reason that I started it was to get to spend more time with my family and have more financial freedom so that I could have the flexibility to support my husband and my kiddos more. And it is so hard not to get caught up in it. I think what Anne was saying, setting those boundaries with social media, because man, I get on there and I see that, Susie in Idaho with her clothing line has 5,000 likes on her photo. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And then that defeats the whole purpose of, why I've done it. Right. So I think going back to God's word and being grounded in who I am in him and my identity there has to be that guiding truth, rather than what other people say. But I would be lying if I told you it wasn't a struggle.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that honesty. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And I like it how you say, being grounded in God's word, going back to God's word and how he's our guide. But I also hear you have 5 children. Is that right?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. I have 4. I am praying about number 5, but I have 4 very amazing young kids. How do you juggle work and family and everything around you?
It's so hard. I hate that word balance because I mean, what is that? Like, we can't even as women come in from the car without loading our arms to a ridiculous extent. So what would make us think that we could perfectly balance the flow between our family and our business? And again, I really feel like this past year has taught me that I was putting other things in front of the God-given purpose for having my business. I was putting other things in front of being able to be that front line for my kiddos. I kept thinking, as they get older, this will get easier. I will be able to work more and they will be able to play by themselves more. And I've really found it to be the exact opposite, that they are emotionally needing me a lot more, that my husband needs more support as his career advances. And so it's been really beautiful that the Lord has kind of given me a lot of permission to, again, find my identity in him, not in my business. And my husband keeps reminding me that what success looks like for everyone else is not what success looks like for our family. That's right. And that we have to put our marriage, God, our children before any identity in me feeling like I'm popular or everyone likes me or thinks I'm pretty or buys my stuff,
Yeah.
I would just encourage women to not feel like they need to balance it like they see other people balancing it, because the social media representation of balance is never what it looks like on the day to day.
Yeah. And it's not really a representation of what God's word says, which, you know, he is our provider. He is our provision. He is our identity. That's where all that stuff comes, not from our own striving. And that's never going to end. Like, I'm a grandmother, and I thought this empty nest season was going to be so easy. You know, I had 3 children and 1 family, but now I have 3 families that God has called me to mentor and be actively involved in their lives. So you have to find your rooting in God, and you have to be able to say no to some things. I'm thinking right now that there's a thing on my blog, my True Girl blog, that's driving me crazy, and I don't have time to fix it. And it wouldn't take me long to fix, but there are sometimes things that you have to say, that the Lord, he's going to have to compensate for that little not done thing in my work, because I need to be a grandma today. So listen, I want to ask you a question about, I imagine that you have felt on social media, because I have, the criticism and praise. You've certainly felt the comparison, it sounds like, and our work comes with that. Even the comparison can feel like criticism or praise in our hearts. So as a Christian, Shylah, how do you handle both of those with God's grace?
One of the things that I wanted to do from the very beginning was that to make sure that I was always building women up. I don't allow people in our group to say anything negative about each other or themselves. And, you know, I'll just flat out tell them, like, we don't allow that word here, you know, and keep it really, really positive. I think especially having daughters, I started to really think about the way I talked about myself too, when I look in the mirror, that they're listening to that, right? If mommy thinks she's fat, or, you know, she doesn't look good, what does that say about them when people are saying, oh, you look just like your mom? And so,
there's actually incredible research that indicates what a girl sees when she looks in the mirror is what she hears her mom saying she sees when she looks in the mirror.
And I think we could say a million things about how beautiful they are, but then if we turn around and say, oh my God, I don't have makeup on, or I look so terrible in this, or am constantly looking to other people for that approval, they're going to do the same, right? They're going to mirror that. Yeah.
Yeah. And when we're doing that, we are making this external something more than it is. This is a shell that we're going to zip off one day and walk into the heavenly presence of Jesus Christ. And the character qualities inside of us, I think that's sometimes what we should be talking about to our daughters and complimenting in our daughters. You know, it's great that she's wearing a long sweater with those leggings that covers her, you know, cute little bottom. But are we also saying, wow, you're wearing kindness today? I can see that in the way you're interacting with your brother and your sister. Going back to what you said, one of the reasons we can focus on how we look and doing our hair and our makeup and our dress is so that we can be confident in approaching people with God's love and God's truth. We want to teach that to our daughters, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We have a saying in my house, and I'll tell it, especially to my oldest daughter, a lot when we talk about our outer beauty. And then I will ask her, you know, but what is the most important thing? What the man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. We have these little songs that Aaron recommended. They're just scripture songs for saplings, and that is one of them. And we just try to say things over and over and over. And I'm hoping that really seeps in on a deep level for them.
Oh, I love that. And I love you. I can see why Erin considers you one of her dearest friends. Thanks for being with us today, Shylah.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
I love that we've been in your boutique, and we're going to drop a link to the online version, ShylahB.com. Check out for that in the comments. You know, the Lord really has put purpose in Shylah's work as a stylist, and in Ann's work as a cookie decorator, and in your work, whatever you're doing. And we want to pray for you in just a few minutes. But first, next up is...
Definitely, we do not want to say goodbye without filling up your toolbox with good stuff. we want to give you some hope to help you keep digging into God's word.
That's right. And today we want to recommend a Revive Our Hearts podcast episode. This podcast takes a fresh look at that Proverbs 31 woman. The title is A Godly Woman's Work.
And here is a little sneak peek into this episode. Revive Our Hearts founder Nancy DeMoss Walgemuth says, I don't like it when I hear people say to a woman, do you work? Now, I know that what they probably mean is, do you have a job that pays you a paycheck outside of your home? But the fact is that any woman who is a godly woman, a wife and a mother, works. A godly woman works hard.
Amen. Amen. We know you want to honor Christ with your hard work. And so this episode, I'm sure, will help you do that. And as always, we'll drop a link to it in the chat.
You know, we're going to give you the link. Man, this has been a full episode, full of wisdom. And I have a couple more wise friends waiting in the wing that wanted to pop in and say hi. There are good news this morning. Welcome to Grounded, Laura Booz and Stacy Rudolph. Here they are. Isn't that fun? Hey, we are together in Michigan today because we are recording the next season of the Women of the Bible podcast. And I thought, for our good news, we just make a big announcement about what it is. So let's drum roll. Stacy, what is the next Women of the Bible podcast? Who's it about?
It is about Deborah.
Deborah.
So excited about
I'm
that.
so excited about it too. So you can be praying for us today and tomorrow. We'll be here in the studio recording the next season of the Women of the Bible. It drops this summer. But Laura, if you could describe Deborah, you've been studying her, in one word, how'd you describe her?
I think I'd choose her own word and say mother.
Mother. That's how she described herself. So it's going to be an awesome season of the Women of the Bible podcast, an awesome study. And you're awesome. Thanks for being our good news. Thank you. You're bright and sunshiny. And we feel like the Lord is shining on us today, because as we were all heading in to the studio here at Revive Our Hearts this morning, I want you to see this picture of what welcomed us. This beautiful Michigan rainbow is a dose of bright and shiny good news. So we're going to be talking about Deborah underneath that rainbow today, and we covet your prayers. Coming out in August.
Well, I'll be the first one praying for you. I've been praying for you guys for several weeks now. Well, friend, whether you own a small business, excuse me, whether you own a small business or not, I want you to know that you are a woman of influence. And that's not the same kind of influence as the world's obsession with being an influencer. No matter what your official job title is, or where your office is, or if your office is your kitchen, we want to commission you for Christian service this morning. We're going to read a prayer often used to send missionaries into the field. Oh, this is my dream. This is my passion, because you are missionaries and the field is big.
Yeah. So let us read you some of these words that, as Dannah said, are often used in missionary commissioning services this Monday morning. We are commissioning you. As we take part in this celebration of blessing and commissioning, we are reliving a practice of the early church. We read in the book of Acts that the Holy Spirit set apart Saul and Barnabas for the work of mission. And the church at Antioch, after fasting and praying, well, they laid hands on those workers and they sent them out. The early church sends its members into other peoples to assist those who were already of the household of faith and those who did not yet believe in Jesus.
Today, we also send our sisters to serve the needs of the church throughout the world. As news of another officer-involved shooting fills our news feeds, we are also aware that we need to be salt and light. May the Lord be with you.
Lord Jesus Christ, you stretch out your arms of love on the hardwood of the cross, that everyone might come within the reach of your saving embrace. So we just pray, Lord, that you clothe us with your spirit, that we can reach forth our hands in love. May we bring those who do not know you to the knowledge and love of you, Lord Jesus, for the honor of your name.
And Jesus, we pray that you would empty each of us of our need to self-promote, to make a name for ourselves, to elevate ourselves, to provide for ourselves, Lord, to have identities based in work, Lord, for we know and we acknowledge again this Monday morning that we are hidden in you, that our identity is in you. And so that anything we do is just to honor you and bless you. We pray these things for ourselves and for our sisters around the world in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
And I could get commissioned every morning, every Monday morning. I think that would probably be a great way to start my week thinking rightly. And, you know, we're going to be right back here next Monday. I won't be here. I'll be back on my farm in Missouri. And I hope that you will be right back here with us. Gretchen Saffels will be with us on Grounded. We're going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects, gardening. But beyond that, we're going to be talking about how we can be women deeply rooted in God's word. Until then, here's my takeaway thought for this Monday morning. Work is worship. Let's wake up again with hope next week on Grounded.